In this video, we'll talk about people that overstay their visas or come here illegally. Can they get a work visa and get sponsored by an employer right now? Watch this video and I'll tell you more. People that overstay their visas or enter here illegally. What can they do if they find an employer, the perfect employer who wants to sponsor them? But before that, I highly encourage you to subscribe to our channel, click that big like, and follow us on Instagram. We have 2 accounts, and I'd love for you to follow us there too. And also, share this video with a friend, somebody that may need help or needed information, and let them know about our channel and about our videos. I'll appreciate that very much. So let's dive into this video. And this is actually a video that I did this video because of a situation that I had with a client, and I wanted to kind of explain to him the whole scenario, and he wasn't really understanding how it works. So the idea is this: imagine somebody comes to the United States illegally without a visa. They come here, either they get smuggled in or whatever way they come here, and then they just live here their life, 5-10 years, or they come here with a visa, but then they overstay that visa and they still have no status. So both of these people have no status in the moment. And then they meet an employer, either they work for somebody and that employer has no idea that they're without status. And in my case, there is a large restaurant that hired this manager and has been working for them for the last, say, 3 years. And just now, as they're trying to promote him, get him some equity in the company, trying to get him more activities, the person is pulling back because he really can't, because he knows that he's here illegally. And so he spoke to the company owner, and they mentioned the fact that he came here illegally, and then they came to see me and they said, well, we want to sponsor this employee. He has very good qualification, has been working in this space for 10 years, he knows finance very well, and we want to sponsor him as our finance manager. And I said, well, first of all, I need to understand, how did the person come to this country in the first place? And I asked him the question, and he said, well, I came here with no visa, right? And so somebody who come here undocumented with no visa, that person really cannot change their status really to anything. So if an employer is going to try to sponsor that person, and here's why. Because the first step in sponsoring somebody is going through a labor department and getting a labor certification. That's fine. Nobody cares who that person is while you go through the labor certification. We call this also PERM. But once that labor certification is approved and we're ready to file the case with the Immigration Service, the first thing they're checking is what is the status of that person. That is a question on Form I-485, Adjustment of Status. And also when we file this with an I-140 immigrant petition, there's also some things we have to prove about the person's status in combination with those 2 forms. So if I'm not able to do that, if my answer on Form 45 will be EWI, enter without inspection, at some point down the line when the case will be adjudicated, it will be denied. And then that person will be put into proceedings. Essentially, will be exposing themselves. So that's why I explained to the employer, I said, under our current laws, you can't do that. Now, the situation was different in the early 2000s. There was a rule called Section 245I, where if you had a petition filed for you by an employer before April of 2000, right? April 2001, I'm sorry, then you will be able to use that petition to file adjustment of status in the future. They call this Section 245I exception. And you would pay a fine, $1,000 fine, and you will be all good. But that law expired back in 2001, and since then, it never came back. So the only people we are able to help today is beneficiaries of the old 245I protection. And I always ask the question, and I ask that person as well, have you ever had a petition filed for you before April 2001? And you had to be present here in December of 2000. And his answer was no, nothing was filed for me back then. And so therefore I couldn't help him. So the idea is that if you came here illegally and you don't have the protection of Section 245I, then you're out of luck and you're not able to adjust. Now, even if you marry a U.S. citizen, you won't be able to do it from inside the U.S. You would have to file a waiver and then leave the country and get your green card at the U.S. Embassy abroad. Now, if you're just an overstay, so for example, we have another employee in that same company who overstayed their visa, and now they marry a U.S. citizen. that person can adjust their status without going back to the home country, because marrying into a U.S. citizen is the only exception to cure and overstay. So it's very important to understand what this video is trying to explain. Somebody comes here illegally, right? So there's no overstay because they're here illegally and they live here and work here, and then they try to adjust their status through employment. There's no way to do that because they never had a status in the first place. However, if a person comes here with a visa and then they just overstay, an employer cannot help them because they already have no status, right? But if they marry a U.S. citizen, they can cure that overstay. So hopefully that kind of clarifies that picture and explains whether an employer, and that's important for employers as well to know, that you can't really help anybody that came here illegally or overstayed their visa. So hopefully that video was beneficial. Share it with an employer that may need to know that information. Click that big like and subscribe to our channel, because more amazing videos are coming based on your requests. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.